so tired of the same old lines we rehearse and rhyme but don't believe. Ain't it time that we speak our minds and just realize we're meant to be? Say you want to and we'll leave tonight. Say the word, it's up to you. But I think we both know how these things go. Just say you want to.
Hey folks, hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to another little video. I never find that climb particularly easy up to Blackstone Edge, but as I've said on many videos, you're probably sick of hearing me saying it's really worth the effort getting up into these high spots. And we're just going to take a left here, follow the van, and head down towards Cragvale. Blackstone Edge Reservoir looking pretty stunning in this mid to late afternoon light up here. A few showers forecast, so I've got the waterproofs with me, including a rare outing for the waterproof trousers, because I really don't want to get caught out in a cold December shower up on the tops. Yeah, come along for the ride this afternoon. It's just a local one, maybe 20, 25, 30 miles, we'll see what I fancy doing. There's no route punched into the cycling computer, so I'm just going to follow my nose really. It's big enough and old enough to find a good route, hopefully. And I thought as we go around, and as we just pass into Calderdale here, feel better already. I thought I'd just talk about if you could change one thing in cycling world, what would it be? And I'm going to go through some runners up, and then maybe 4 of those, and then land on the one thing, if I had the power to change about cycling, this is the thing I'd change. So depending on how I've got the camera angle on the little chest harness mount thing, you may or may not be able to see this really long shadow in front of me. Got a very kind of low hanging sun right behind me. Just feel the weak warmth on my back, and it's very nice, and quite a change from recent days where it's been just tipping it down, and it's raining again tomorrow. So another opportunistic ride, just grabbing a few hours while you can. This UK winter game that we play. Yeah, back onto the topic of today's video. So if I could change one thing about cycling, contenders to start with, and then I'll give you my one thing towards the end of the video. One of the things I'd certainly consider, or one of the things I did consider as a contender, I don't quite know how to term this, whether it's elitism or snobbery or that sort of barrier to entry that I think a lot of people come up against. And it could be, you know, seeing the great and the good here in YouTube land on expensive bikes with fancy kit and smashing all these records, this, that and the other, and cycling these crazy distances. And you know, the average person may be thinking about getting back into cycling or taking up cycling for the first time. You may come across stuff like that and just think, well, I don't recognise anything in myself in that, so cycling's really not for me these days. I think that's a shame. There's a whole world out there of less bells and whistles cycling, easy pace, relaxed pace, just enjoying the pedalling stuff. Oh yeah. And it'd be a shame for people to miss that and get, you know, the wrong impression of what this is all about, or what this could be all about if you're not into the, you know, the high-end bikes and the super duper speeds and the records and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, first contender would be that. Oh man, this is so nice. I really shouldn't be waffling into my GoPro, I should just be enjoying this. My little radar rear light isn't beeping, and just on a rear check. Nothing behind me, nothing in front of me. And I think what I'm going to do, rather than go all the way down, because I actually don't like the road surface too much in the bottom part of this road, I think I'm going to turn off and go past Craggies and over down into Sowerby Bridge, Sowerby Bridge, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, I'll just turn off and then we'll go through the second contender, things you've changed about cycling. Yeah, contender number 2 would be bicycle storage. Now I'm pretty lucky at the place where I work. They've got secure bike lockers and showers, and it's pretty handy for commuting. But if I went into the city centre, that's Manchester in my case, and like chain my bike on one of those, you know, out in the open in town bike racks, it would be a case of gone in 60 seconds, or components would get stripped off the bike. And it's so frustrating that there aren't more bicycle storage options in our cities and towns. And also, like, my local supermarket has nowhere to store securely bicycles, so you know, I'd love to do my weekly shop not having to use the car, but it's just not an option. And I, you know, kind of considered my one change being something like insisting that supermarkets that are granted planning permission, you know, for new shops, new supermarkets in a particular area, have to make provision for like indoor secure bicycle storage, a certain number of lockers or units, just to encourage what I'm sure are lots of people that would leave the car at home to do their weekly shop if, you know, their bike wasn't going to get nicked in 10 seconds flat as soon as they walked in the shop. Oh man, this road is such a treat on a day like this. I'm going to have to get you off chest cam and show you the views across to my left. It's really stunning. So many of these very cool sort of tracking the tops single track minor roads dotted around Corderdale I should say. My chin is freezing, I can't speak. They're such a treat to cycle on. Yeah, third contender for the one thing I'd change about cycling. You can probably see what I'm doing here. I'm sneaking some some different suggestions in. But the third one is, I suppose, related to that barrier to entry I was talking about in the first consideration, and that's like the price of equipment, even just taking bikes as a starting point. And it's a difficult one. I really do understand that, you know, bike manufacturers have to make money, and retailers, bike shops should earn their keep as well. But it does seem that the prices of bikes are just rocketing, and you know, even what can sometimes be talked about as like a budget-friendly bike, if you're not inducted into the world of cycling, you probably think, blooming heck, that's a budget bike. How much are the pricey ones? And it might be, you know, I think in the UK the VAT on bikes is the standard 20%, and you know, maybe it would be making some kind of adjustment to that, or like incentivizing people to, for example, buy cargo bikes, maybe linked to that weekly shop. And bicycle storage idea I was talking about, you know, maybe it's making the cycle to work scheme more well known, I suppose, or more attractive in some way. Maybe having different schemes as well, just to kind of incentivize and help people with what can be quite a big financial outlay. And you know, of course, those within the know that we can go on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, and I'm sure there's lots of other options, you know, and we can spend just a couple of £100 or a few $100s and get something decent that we can kind of work on a little bit and get back to really nice working order. But again, with that barrier to entry, if you don't have the know-how, the knowledge, somebody to help you, you might be kind of scared off doing something like that. So you're looking at the new bike prices, and you know, some of them frankly are pretty eye-watering. So yeah, I don't know, kind of one of the contenders I was thinking about is that just that topic of the price of equipment. Right, I need my other hand back because we're getting towards Steep Lane, and as the name would suggest, I'm heavy on the front brake here and I need to start applying the other brake. Then we'll get into consideration number 4, and then the actual thing that I would change about cycling. Pretty heavy on the brakes here. The road is not dry and I'm in no rush today, just taking it easy, and I'm going to do a right here. I'll just track the tops for a little bit longer. Into Sowerby, and then through and down into Sowerby Bridge. So that hard-won effort getting up onto the tops gets lost pretty quickly when you're bowing down these valley sides in Calderdale. Just passing through Sowerby here, down into Sowerby Bridge. We've got the beginnings of Halifax on the horizon, the Wainwright Tower, and yeah, consideration 4. When I was mulling over what to choose for the one thing I'd change about cycling, it's just like the proliferation and ability to get to a decent bike shop and mechanic. And I certainly found it's really tough. You'll sometimes go into shops and, in my experience, get kind of sneered out of the shop almost. Looked down upon for being a bit of a pleb who doesn't have the right bike and the right gear. So there's that kind of experience I've certainly been on the receiving end of. I've been into shops and waiting lists to just get a service or a bit of work done is weeks, or they just turn you away. And I've also been in shops and had really pretty poor quality work done, and you know, partly for those reasons I do quite a lot of my own tinkering at home, and you'll have seen that on the channel now and again, a few sort of maintenance type videos. Yeah, it would be really nice to have more, you know, bike shops and workshops and community workshops even, that you could go to and A, get your bike fixed, but also B, maybe not feel like, you you know, you're being laughed at the shop, and almost feel like it's a place you could pick up a few skills to use yourself. And again, I appreciate bike shops have to earn a living, and you know, when you do go through shops, you should expect to, you know, give them a decent rate for the work that they do for you. But it would just be nice to have more of them around, I think. (3:20), schools will be chucking out shortly, so it'd be nice to get through here before it gets busy. Well folks, I've chickened out. I'm just going to get the train back up the valley. I've slightly lost track of time, and don't fancy too much riding with my lights as it gets dark so early. But yeah, let me just clean the bike up, and then I'll talk to you about the one thing I would change about cycling. So I am, as you might know from other videos, occasionally I'll commute into Manchester, or a few miles out to the south of Manchester where my office is, and I think we've got, I don't know, 24, 25 people in the office, and I'm the only person that cycles in. I think I'm the only person that actually cycles, and you know, we've got various other offices around the world, and you know, work for a bit of an international company. Anyway, yada yada yada. I'm not going to talk about that, but I think I might be the only person in the entire company that actually cycles for fun or cycles for transport. And I think for me the single biggest thing I changed, particularly in the UK, and it's sort of linked to some of the other things I've been talking about, was just to normalise cycling as a thing that people can do, like adults can do, and a thing that you can do to travel and to get around. And I think it's such a shame, it's such a missed opportunity for, you know, fun, for health, for freeing up the roads, which, you know, in the UK are just choked to death. The biggest change I would love to make, and the thing I'd dearly love to change about cycling, was just to kind of normalise cycling as a thing that people do, and a way to get around, and a way to get to work, and a way to do your shopping, etc, etc, and to not feel like when you go out onto these roads, you know, which, even though, you know, I would regard myself as a pretty experienced and what would you say, confident cyclist when I'm on the roads, you know, I don't really mind mixing it up in traffic, but I'm very conscious of feeling like I don't belong on the roads. And you know, when I commute, I go out and I'm immediately onto quite busy roads as I'm heading like into Manchester and through Manchester. You know, and some mornings I'm on my bike for less than a couple of minutes before it's a close pass or a beep, or you get some bloody I won't swear, you get somebody, you know, mouthing off at you in their car, or even winding the window down to have a go at you, and it's just that feeling like you're not supposed to be there as a cyclist, and it's such a shame, it's such a missed opportunity. So yeah, there you go, that's the thing I would dearly love to change about cycling. That's my top one. Other considerations, I don't know, let me know what you think. You know, what would you change about cycling if you could? What single thing would kind of make the most difference in your opinion? I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments down below, as I say in YouTube land. Anyway, I probably won't film any more of the ride. Got a little coffee opportunity, I think. There's 20 minutes before the train, and then I'll make my way just down the valley. I'll maybe get off at Littleborough, and then I've got a good few miles to still do on the bike before I get home. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Had some new followers recently, and welcome, and it's great to have you following along and have your company on this ride and future rides. But yeah, stay safe, take care, and happy cycling. I'll see you out on the roads or the trails very soon. Bye.